I find that whenever I am approaching a new kind of writing, it's good for me to read a lot of different samples. So let's take a look at this one. In the introduction to Strunk and White's Elements of Style, 1997, first, E.B. White credits inspiration for the Little Book to his college professor, Will Strunk. Second, he details the 5 handbook sections, the last being his own prejudices, his notions of error. And third, he asserts his views that writing should be concise, omitting all unnecessary words. Let's take a look at some of the choices that this writer made in this opening sentence. First, we know that a rhetorical précis is supposed to be a single sentence, but the writer is really clever. The writer is using these semicolons to combine 3 independent clauses, 3 different sentences into a single sentence. And then the writer uses the language of organization, first, second, and third, to keep the 3 parts of E.B. White's essay clear to the reader. The next thing the writer does is inserts this bracket, okay? In order to make the sentence flow, the word his is needed here, but that is the writer of the précis putting that in and not E.B. White. So a bracket indicates that it's something that you, the writer, is putting into the writing, and it keeps the veracity, the truth of the writing clear. The next thing is look at the fact that the title of the piece is italicized. We italicize titles of books or movies, but we put articles in quotation marks. So to an educated reader, immediately you know that Elements of Style is actually the name of the book. The next thing we see is the use throughout of E.B. White's own words, his voice being included by pulling key phrases that he uses and putting those in quotation marks. Okay, notice that this end punctuation goes before the quotation mark, and there's a little trick here that the semicolon goes outside the quotation mark. So you want to look those up in case you have any questions about it. White describes his own encounter with the book as a college student, explaining Strunk's tone, describing it as snapping orders to a platoon in the form of sharp commands of the text. Do not join independent clauses with a comma. Then he explores the structure and layout of the text, and finally, he shifts away from the rules of exigence of writing, explaining that style rules of grammar are, of course, a matter of individual preference, and even the established rules of grammar open to challenge. His purpose is to explore the history of the book, explaining its function and layout, but also to espouse the philosophy shared with Professor Strunk. Clarity is key. White's didactic essay addresses an audience of writers from the novice to the expert, encouraging them to learn the rules and principles of good writing, but to always remember that rules should bend to the writer. Now, the word didactic means that it has both a teaching element and a preaching element to it. It means that it's an essay that's told on 2 different levels. It teaches something, but it kind of takes on a preaching tone. If you're not sure about MLA and where commas should go or where quotation marks should appear, use the Purdue Online Writing Lab. But this is a final step. Get all your content down, read through it several times, make lots of different changes so that it flows and it sounds the way that you want it to, and then go back and worry about your punctuation and your grammar. Don't let those little things stop you from communicating your message. Those are things we can work on together if you get stuck. Just remember that for most of us, this is our first time writing a rhetorical précis, a highly structured argument like this. So do the best you can, come into class with it, and then what we'll do is we will look at the way that it was structured. We'll look at what is effective, and then we'll try to figure out ways to make places that aren't as effective stronger. Because that's what our classroom should be. It should be a place that we pack our parachute. We learn what we need to do, and we have a place to practice. If you get a chance, check out this particular TED Talk. I think it encompasses my philosophy very effectively.